Hey guys, today we're talking everything corner kicks at the U9, U10 level. So let's go. This is a request that I've received multiple times through emails asking me to describe how do I go about corner kicks at the youngest age groups. There are three categories of corners no matter what level you're talking about. The first is short corners. The second are corners with designated runs. And the last type of corner is what I like to call a set play. So these are corners where you are deliberately trying to maybe cause some kind of a misdirection, or perhaps you're trying to designate or get one person in a vulnerable area, either for a shot or a cross, but it's a designated play. The way that I like to progress corners from the youngest teams as they get older is to start with short corners, then progress to corners with dedicated runs. Once a team becomes more skilled, more mature, more understanding of the game, then you can start with some set plays. So there's two main reasons why I like to start with short corners at the U9, U10 level, especially with the younger teams. Most of the kids at this age don't have a strong enough leg to play a ball that is able to get into the box at the appropriate angle and the appropriate height. The other reason, by playing it short, you set up a 1v1 or a 2v1 situation for your most talented players. Okay, so here we are set up in a 7v7 situation with a short corner. This would be out of a formation of a 2-3-1, which is my preferred formation, and you have your two center backs here in case there's a counter press. The outside midfielder or fullback on the side that the corner is on always takes the corner. So if the corner were over here, the 3 would take it. But for purposes of this discussion, we've set up the corner down here. And so the central midfielder always comes over and is the person who gets the ball in the short corner. The striker and the outside midfielder or the fullback, depending on your nomenclature, on the opposite side sets up just around the top of the 18, really close enough to the corner. And if they have trouble, I just tell them to stay right at the corner. The ball's played out to our central midfielder from our outside midfielder or our fullback. That person has to make a run around this way. They have to come back onto the field this way. If they come out here, there's a really good chance for an offsides. So again, they always make a run around this area. And depending on how it's defended, sometimes it's not defended at all, and you have one against almost nobody out here. Once in a while, they have one or two, but even if they have one, that's no problem for us. So if they, especially once we do this a few times, they will send somebody right here, and they have to give you 10 yards if you didn't know that. Once that ball is played here and our fullback comes around, we again have a 2v1 situation. So we're going to encourage our central midfielder to take this guy on 1v1, either try to beat him and get over here for a cross, or to go ahead and play 2v1, and then we can play it out here for a cross. As this ball is played out, so as the ball gets played and our fullback on this side starts coming over, the 9 and the 3 are going to make designated runs. And these runs are the same no matter if it's a corner or if it's a cross in the wide area. I like to keep things very simple and repetitive for the younger players. So the 9 always goes to the near post, and they've got to make an angled run. So what we don't want is this 9 to just make a direct run here. The run needs to come here, and then once they see the cross is coming, then they go ahead and arc in. The fullback on the opposite side does the exact same thing, but to the far post. So starts coming down. Once they see a cross is coming, then they make that run, and the ball comes in here. Now, if for whatever reason this has happened and they won the ball here, fullback on the opposite side can kind of come into this area and be an option. But for the most part, we're looking to play a ball into the 9 or into the 3 for a goal. So that's how we set up all of our short corners. The last thing to say is that if for whatever reason the ball is lost, so we'll go ahead and reset here. The fullback plays it here. The fullback starts here, plays it to our central midfielder, and these guys start making their runs. He comes around, this guy gets around him here, run comes here. Let's say this guy comes here, and let's say a cross is made, and boom, now there's a counter press. Let's say that the 2 gets it here and starts coming up the field. The 2 center backs have to work together to stop this and do what they call counter press. The center back closest to the ball has to immediately go to the ball and at least slow them down. Cannot get behind, but has to go to the ball immediately and slow them down. The other center back has to drop to the middle of the field. All we have to do in this situation is slow them down so the other players can recover. Once your team has progressed from short corners, and especially as they get older, you'll have players who can play dangerous balls into the 18-yard box. At this point, you're going to start running corners with dedicated runs. These are much harder to defend and much less predictable. Here are 2 corners with dedicated runs that I would start with. Okay, so our first dedicated run corner kick is essentially set up very similar to how we set up the short corner, except that the central midfielder, instead of coming up here for the short, joins the runners who were originally towards the edge of the opposite 18. The fullback on the side of the corner is the one who takes it. Once he puts his hand up in the air and then puts his hand down is when the runners start. So he puts his hand up in the air, puts it down, the runners start their runs. The 9 makes the exact same run, which is again an angled run to the near post. The fullback on the opposite side again makes the same run, angled to the far post, and the central midfielder makes a run to the penalty spot. What we do is we tell the person taking the corner, try to get it somewhere into this area in front of the goalie, or just get it into this box somewhere, because a lot of times you just get it in there and it comes down and it rolls around to somebody who can just kick it in. The second run that I would teach your team after the basic corner with dedicated runs that we just went over is very similar, but the fullback on the opposite side stands at the front post to start. You still have the 9 and the 6 at the edge of the 18 on the opposite side of the field. You still have your fullback on the side where the corner is being taken is the one who takes it. This time though, the initial run after the fullback on this side puts his arm up and puts it down, again, the 9 still comes to the near post. The 6 still goes to the penalty spot, but the 3, the fullback on the opposite side, turns and goes this way. And that's going to do a couple of things. It very well could distract the goalkeeper, which could help the 9's run into the near post. But it also, at times, if he's here and the goalkeeper takes him, as he comes out, as our fullback, our 3 comes to the opposite side, he's left alone. And if this ball somehow is able to come over here or trickle down here, oftentimes this person is not covered and essentially will have a wide open goal to put it in. So this one is, again, no different, except that where we line up, where we start, you tell the fullback on the opposite side to start here. And all they have to do, they can either back up or they can just turn around and run past the goalkeeper, and then they're at the far post where they would be anyway. So the last type of corner is a set play. I recommend that you wait until your team has been together for a while, that they have a good understanding of corners before you start these. Here are 2 examples of set play corners you can use for your team. The first set play corner involves a similar setup with 2 of our players at the edge of the opposite 18. This time it's going to be the striker and our fullback on the opposite side, and our central midfielder will set up at the near post. As the fullback puts his hand up and then puts it down to initiate the start of the play, the central midfielder starts to make a run back to the back post like we talked about before, but this time will come around. As this is happening, the striker and the fullback on this side try to come down and take as many guys with them. So sometimes I'll even tell them to start yelling for the ball, or to try to get as much attention as possible onto all these defenders. And if you can, you don't want to get a foul called, but even if you can try to get in front of some of these guys, that will be helpful. As the central midfielder comes around, he's going to come up into this space, and hopefully by that point, all of these guys are worried about these 2 runners, and you get something that even looks, let's put the 9 out here. Something that looks like this, where your central midfielder, and the ball is going to be played on the ground to the middle of the 18-yard box for a shot into the box. The whole idea is to distract all of these defenders into going towards the runners, and the central midfielder comes around the corner and pops up into the middle where nobody tracks him. The second set play corner that I'm going to show you is just a theme and variation of what we've been doing before. So this time we're going to set up like this with 3 runners at the edge of the opposite 18 and our 2 center backs. And what we're going to do is we're going to send the central midfielder out as if it's going to be a short corner. As this person comes out, somebody has to come with them. Now, it might be the 5 here, maybe the 6 comes along, but somebody comes with them, okay? The 6 then has to come over to this part here looking for a ball. They've got to get them close to the goal line so this ball can be opened, okay? Now, as that's happening, these 2 are going to make their run. And again, you can see kind of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring this here so we have all this space open up. Now, the other thing is the 4 on this side is going to try to distract the 9. So he might come over here asking for the ball. All of this is in effect to bring the ball right up in here, what we call zone 14, right at the arch. And so a ball is going to be played on the ground to the center back on the opposite side who's coming in for a shot on goal. So guys, when it comes to defending corners, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because at the youth level, especially the 7v7 level, I think getting into complicated zonal marking makes no sense. What I do in terms of defending corners is very simple. Everyone has to have a man and they have to be goal side. The other thing that they have to really watch is not to just watch the ball in the air. They have to follow their runners. So if everyone's got a man, they're goal side, and they all follow their runners, I'm fine with it. And I would recommend that be your strategy in terms of defending corners, because if you try to get into a zonal situation, it can really confuse young players. And I might do a video on how to do a zonal marking on a corner, maybe for an older team, either a 9v9 team or 11v11 team. But the youngest age groups, just keep it simple. I hope you like this complete guide to corner kicks. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or reach out to me directly. And check out this video.